everyone. I have the time as 6:32, so we will call the work session to order. The work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, September 25th, 2023. We have a quorum, everyone's present. First, we'll run through the regular business meeting. Commissioner Watkins let me know that he'll be here tonight in support of the Gwinnett Transit, so I'll recognize that he's here. Also, we added, Todd had brought this up to me and I forgot to give it to Melissa before the agenda was printed, that we were doing the Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation, so we'll need to amend that right after I call the meeting to order. We've got the invocation, Sonia Lopez, she'll be here.
Yes.
And then pledge to the flag will be given by Reverend Louis de Sousa from the Snellville United Methodist Church. So we've got two proclamations, one for Diamond in the Rough that we've been trying to get done for the last couple of meetings that we didn't have. And then the Hispanic Heritage Month one as well. And then we have, the founder of the Diamond in the Rough, Nicole Steele, should be here for the proclamation for that one. And then we've got Reverend Louis de Sousa with the Methodist Church for the Hispanic Heritage Month. And we have the minute approval. Under invited guests, we've got the County Department of Transportation to give us an update on the transit program. And then Bobby Howard's going to give us an update on the cop cab. And then Sonia Lopez is going to talk about Hispanic Heritage Month. Then we skip down to new business. I'll be nominating and asking for your confirmation of Dale Stanley to the Parks and Recreation Board. I've known Dale and his wife Sandy for
100 years.
A long, long time. Since they both retired, they've been getting involved. They've been volunteering at the farmer's market, or Dale has for a long time. Then we have the 3-year lease agreement with the Christmas decor. Jay has asked for whoever's making a motion on this to couch the motion to be authorized me to sign the agreement once we have final city attorney approval. There were some issues with the contract.
The terms. They wanted a flat 3-year contract, no get outs, which is illegals for cities in Georgia to do. So it's basically a 1-year contract with an automatic renewal unless y'all cancel it, is the way it's worded. But we have not heard back from them. Yeah, the price will not change. So approve the price subject to
approve the annual lease price amount.
Do you know what that is?
$92,078. Yeah.
Pending city attorney's
Approval.
Contract approval, yeah.
Okay. For approval.
And then we have the IGA with the county for leasing the second floor of the library building for $1 a year for the next 50 years.
Couldn't make it 100
Could we afford
or 99?
I don't know.
Good deal.
I'll have to have Butch go over the budget.
Yeah.
We can take it out of the police department, right? See, he's nodding his head. There you go.
Any
Red
questions?
speed's untouchable.
Any questions on the regular meeting agenda? So then, any correspondence?
No, ma'am.
City
Okay,
attorney?
I have correspondence
Okay,
that I've received from citizens.
okay.
So, I just want to do or maybe if you can give us all a follow-up of Texas Roadhouse and the pavilion, that area there.
Mm-hmm.
Has it been resolved, do you know? Because I know that there were a lot of emails going back and forth with pictures and everything, and I got all the emails. But I don't know what happened after that, it just cut off and I didn't hear anything else. If you can just give us an update.
Yeah,
on that.
I'm not totally up to date. I know an update, but I can get Chuck to email you if you want. But my understanding is that Snellville Pavilion is negotiating or talking to Texas Roadhouse to kind of get the parking situation resolved. That's really the only update I know. Is there a specific of what you wanted updated on?
Just an update on, what's going to happen, because this has been ongoing for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And so we
A lot
just want to
longer than
know
a couple.
longer, yes,
Yeah.
but we just want to know.
19, I think it is.
Like what's,
Yeah.
what's going on. So you think we can maybe get another update at the next work?
Yeah, I
session?
can have Chuck email you what he knows. He's the one dealing with that mainly, but I'll have Chuck email you an update of where we are exactly.
Because there was a quality of life court
Yeah, there's
last
been
week
many.
too.
Yeah, there's been
and
many. Yeah.
Texas Roadhouse is there quite frequently, so we can check with Chuck to see if
Yeah.
anybody was there or if any of the
Because
cases
somebody
were on the
understand the
calendar.
noise is still there, everything is still going on.
The update I had
So-
was that the Snellville Pavilion was trying to put pressure on them a little bit from their end.
Yeah, I
The
can
new
tell you
owners.
that the new management
Yeah,
at Snellville Pavilion has been better to work with. I put it in my little update here. Much easier to get in touch with. They are going to finish the fence back there in the proper manner, and they are doing exactly that. They realize the problems that are coming from their neighbors, and they're trying to help us solve that problem.
Okay. And the second the second correspondence is that, again, that was brought up to my attention as well on the town green this Saturday, okay? And I would like somebody to tell me give me some clarification on the rule of order, okay? It was brought to my attention that there was campaigning going on the farmer's market, with signs being given to people who were there, videos made, and say, I'm running for post 1, I'm running for post 2. That's strictly campaigning on the lawn. Okay? So what is just give me some clarification on that rule of order.
about just campaigning on the lawn. It's a city function at the town, or the farmers
Correct.
market.
Yes.
There's nothing to prevent the city from having people do freedom of speech. I think they can prevent people from placing signs on their own property, but as far as people talking to other people at a city event, there's nothing the city can do. That's a freedom of speech. It's political speech is very
I
protected.
thought it was a section designated
Yeah.
where people can talk and do that. So those signs should not have been on the lawn, period.
Well, if I can clarify something, I don't know exactly what happened on the Green
Yeah, neither
Friday,
do I.
but,
So,
the farmer's market and the stat events have had a policy since day one that I'm aware of, that you are not, no one's allowed to come on the green during one of those events and pass out, like the push cards or your information to, or walk up to people who are at the market and try to give them campaign literature. That's not allowed. If you can rent a booth,
Right.
and so what always happens in the free speech area that's designated are for groups, we've had situations before where groups come and they set up just outside the market or just outside a stat event. And like on the other side of Oak Road down by Cobblestone, they'll set up on the sidewalk there to pass out their literature and things like that. And that's what is not allowed, because other vendors have paid for their space and their opportunity to sell their goods or promote their whatever, their cause, whatever they want to do. If you pay for that and go through the normal channels of either stat event or the farmer's market, then that's fine. But even if you have a tent, say at the Fall Festival, because I've done it before, I've done a campaign tent at the Fall Festival, I'm still not allowed to walk out of my booth and pass out campaign materials. If people come into my booth, I can give them a sign, I can give them my materials and all of that. but it's preventing people coming out and giving out literature to people that are there at the market shopping or people trying to enjoy an event. If I've misstated any of that, you can.
I mean, we've never even rented a booth for political purposes at the farmer's market. And there are candidates that will come in and sit in the tent and just talk with us, not campaigning, but I have not been aware of anybody that I know of passing out information at the farmer's market. If it happened, I wasn't aware of it, or I would have talked to that person.
Now, and I don't know that the city could prevent anybody from going on the green with their cell phone and doing a video.
So if all that's going on, so that means other candidates can do it too, freely.
Do what?
Use the cell phones and make videos and
Oh, sure.
things like that, and bring the signs on the lawn and.
The signs on the
The
lawn on
campaign
city
signs.
property, I think there is a prohibition against
If I,
that.
Okay, but
if I
there
could
was
speak
one-
to the particular events that happened, since I was, of course, there in the middle of everything,
Okay.
I'm happy to do that. We visit the market. When I mean we, many council members, as well as many different candidates, as a regular course of business, to spend money, to spend time. We know a lot of the vendors personally, and as we walked around a little bit through the market, a couple of the vendors asked specifically if they could have signs for their yard, their business, wherever. So I carried them over to the individuals and they placed them back behind where they were not to be visible.
So signs were given out on the market then? Was given out?
I don't know the specifics, I was not there, so it's gonna be
But Christie
very,
just gave the specifics. That's probably not,
They
Yeah.
were not displayed anywhere in the sense of, hey, we're campaigning. We were not distributing information. That
But
wasn't the purpose of why we were there.
Correct, but
It was
that's
a simple matter of,
giving them the signs, right?
someone
It's
asked for a
just-
sign,
Mhm.
we gave them, they're a vendor, they put it behind in
They
their packages.
didn't put it on display.
in the future, I would recommend that it not be given out during the farmer's market.
Happy to do that.
That it's done
go give it, put it in their car or something
their
like
car
that.
or-
Yeah.
But it's okay
Meet
if I
them
go to the
later.
market and sit and talk with
Absolutely.
candidates or people.
Can't prevent you
Is that
from
all
going to the
right?
market.
Yes.
Okay.
So that means we can do the same, so we'll.
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no. We just corrected that it shouldn't be done. That it would be more appropriate if say a vendor wants a sign, that's a political sign, that they either wait till after the market or they go to their personal car and they receive it there, not on the green.
In
So the rules would change quick, huh? Okay.
the,
Well, I think we just corrected a problem with the rule.
clarify the rules.
We clarified it.
I know there were a number of people who were candidates who were filming the concert on Saturday night, and they put it up on social media, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with
And
that.
I don't
But
really,
I'm talking about the concept.
well, I
I
don't
know,
see a
it's the
difference
concept.
between
Right.
something like
It's
that
not
and candidates wearing their campaign T-shirts to
Oh,
a city
sure.
event.
Sure. I won't mind, because I know your approved candidate had her son.
Well.
So
we've
I
done
won't
that
mind
for-
is, you know,
We've done that for
There's-
decades.
right.
There's
I know.
not a
That's
problem.
called silent campaigning. No, I know that.
We are not
I
getting
know.
involved in what people are wearing.
Wearing, right, I know that. That's why I didn't mention anything about the shirt. She brought it up. It was nothing to me. So,
Okay,
okay, yep.
any other? Under correspondence?
No, that's it for me.
City Attorney's report?
None tonight.
Okay. So we will move to our discussion items, and the first up is Miss Lena Chambliss with the Georgia Environmental Protection Division is going to give us a really short presentation on recycling grant opportunities. I got together with her through one of our citizens, Mr. Darcy, and emails back and forth about recycling and everything else. So she's just gonna give us a quick update. Let her know that we're getting started here.
Please enter your access code
There'll be,
followed by pound or hash sign.
The EPD will be opening their grant programs, I think, in November or December for this coming year.
If you are the organizer, press the star key now. Otherwise, hold. Please enter your organizer PIN followed by the pound or hash sign. Please enter your organizer PIN followed by the pound hash sign. Your organizer PIN is not valid. You entered 905. Please try again. Please, your organizer PIN is not valid. You entered 305. Goodbye.
You are the weakest link.
That's funny. Erica, when you set it up, was there a pin?
It says right there, 305.
No, that's the audio pin, not the organizer, yeah.
Well, you're the organizer, your name's right up there.
I know.
Yeah, so if it goes wrong, it's your fault again.
I know. I'll take the hit.
That's right, because it worked for me.
What's the phone number now?
There you go. Oh, there, I think she's on there.
Took too long to get the number.
Dial to get out.
9-1.
Now I'm under pressure, it's embarrassing.
Nobody look at Melissa.
Everybody avert your eyes.
Please enter your access code followed by pound. To enable audio controls, please enter your audio PIN by the
Okay, hold on, Mayor.
Hello, Lena.
Hey!
Hey, how are you? There you are. It's great to meet you digitally.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hear you?
Barbara, you gotta talk over here even though she's over there.
Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear her okay?
I don't think so.
Can you hear us at all, Lena?
Oh, are we mic is turned off?
No,
No,
because it's through here.
that's the phone.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, don't miss this.
If you want to do it through this, it's not going to be great, but we can.
Yeah, if we could do that.
Can't hear her either.
This was supposed to be brief.
It will be once we spend an hour trying to connect.
Is the microphone supposed to be off up there?
It is because we're going through
We
here.
were doing the phone.
Good, we thought it would be better quality and I.
056503.
That's it, I quit, I'm going home.
I really promised you what to say.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
I'm not gonna turn on the UFO this time.
You're holding
Yeah, just use the phone.
Right.
Right, let's put it on speaker and let's roll.
To enable audio controls, enter.
Okay, try it now.
Oh, now I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yay!
I'm not gonna use the UFO, something's not right with that.
Lena, it's very nice to meet you, and I briefed everybody on who you are and what you're going to do for us. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn things over to you.
Okay, great. It looks like I have to ask for permission to present.
Oh, can you give her permission?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you all so much for inviting me to your meeting to be able to share a little bit about what we do at Georgia EPD and our local government grant program. So, all right, it looks like I have Up to my show. Here I go.
Yay.
All right, hopefully you'll be able to see my screen. Can y'all see everything?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, as I mentioned, I'm Lena Chambliss, and thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to briefly fill you all in on our solid waste trust fund grant program that we have at Georgia EPD. So a little bit about us. The Recovered Materials and Abatement Program is actually the newest program that's housed within the Land Protection Branch at Georgia EPD. So we used to be tucked underneath, oh, I'm sorry, was there a question?
Nope.
No.
Okay, sorry, I had a little feedback then. But we used to be housed within the solid waste program, and with recent development involving the Solid Waste Trust Fund and the development of the Solid Waste Trust Fund grant program, we've kind of broken out, and that has allowed us to really focus on material recovery and recycling efforts and how we can best support our local government at the state level. So a little bit briefly about the Solid Waste Trust Fund. As of last July in 2022, we saw the dedication of all of the fees collected return 100% to all of the trust funds in Georgia. So not just solid waste, but also our hazardous waste trust fund, there's an outdoor stewardship trust fund, and many others, but all of us have received all of the funds collected now go back into the trust fund for their intended purposes. The solid waste trust fund is funded by a tire management fee. So you may have noticed every time you buy a set of tires in the state of Georgia, you might see a tire fee on there. We handle that also within my program. We coordinate with EPD Finance to collect and make sure that now the distributors are collecting and reporting that fee, and that's what funds our grant program. The Recovered Materials Unit is part of, is the main team within my program that facilitates the grants management. And they do a lot of other things too, but we're talking about the grants tonight. So happily, we are able now, a couple months in on our new fiscal year, to announce the budget for the Solid Waste Trust Fund Grant Program. So we are going to be opening up a new round here shortly towards the end of the year for the Recycling and Waste Diversion Grant. I think y'all probably have heard a little bit about that. And we're going to have $2 million to offer our local governments and public institutions this year. We just opened up a tire products grant, which actually City of Snellville applied for. So that was exciting to see, but we have $1 million for that grant track. And then we have another $1 million, about another $1 million, and that includes the scrap tire abatement reimbursement program. We call it the STAR program. And that I'll get into later. And then we also do our own bit of tire abatement, where we go out and we contract with people in cases where, people are found to be a victim of a crime and all varieties of different reasons. So that's just a little overview of the grant component of the budget. So in talking about the grant, who's eligible? Well, luckily, we all know Snellville is. But yeah, counties, municipalities, or any kind of combos, any public authorities, agencies, commissions, or institutions. So public institutions are considered to be eligible. And local governments must be in compliance with the Department of Community Affairs. So you have to have all your reporting and everything into them, or else you're not eligible for state funding. And then the last but not least, you can't have any kind of open or unresolved enforcement actions with EPD. And this one can trip some folks up, because say in perhaps a large county like Gwinnett, the water department could potentially have an issue where the folks applying for a recycling grant may not be aware. So it's anything within that entity. But, in a city like Snellville, I would imagine you probably all get together and know lots more the ins and outs of what's going on in other agencies. Okay, so the Recycling and Waste Diversion Grant, our goal with this grant is really to provide the financial support to projects in Georgia for our local governments that reduce solid waste. We want to recover those materials, and we want to support manufacturing and encourage innovation. Now, this is really important because a lot of folks don't realize how large our recycling industry is in Georgia. We are second in recyclables and recycling only to California. And we have a very robust manufacturing sector that, processes these recycled materials, so much so that a lot of our, not a lot, but several different manufacturers actually have to import glass and other materials. Aluminum is another one. They have to actually import it from other states. So we're trying to kind of connect the dots. And at the same time, we want to allow our local government to develop project proposals that best support their needs. So what does the city of Snellville need to best support your recycling program? So we really leave it open to the applicants to tell us what they need in their community and how they can best serve everyone in their community. And so we do have very specific authorized uses for the trust fund. So these projects have to focus on increasing recycling, reducing waste, and or diverting recoverable materials from the solid waste stream. So we really want to see you increase the volume of recyclables or, expand perhaps the types of materials you're taking. Something that you can report to us and say, okay, when we started this, we were only collecting this tiny amount, and now we're doing all of this. So that's going to be a more competitive application, say, than one that gets into, maybe outreach or education. So just throwing some examples out there. And as I mentioned, all the projects have to coincide with those authorized uses. So it is very specific for what we can use it for. And some project examples that we have put out there are, say, hub and spoke development. So that's maybe you have a recycling center where you may allow you may partner with other local governments to bring materials in. Maybe you need to purchase some equipment. Maybe recycled glass, which we just awarded Gwinnett County a glass grant last year as part of this program to try to kind of kickstart their glass program back. And recovery of additional materials, like I said, like perhaps now maybe you want to start taking styrofoam. I don't know, just throwing something out there. And any kind of waste reduction is going to also be a great project. So we had, for example, City of Decatur applied and had a really well planned out pilot program for composting. So things like that that are really going to move the needle. And of course, we always leave a spot for innovation because maybe there's something that we haven't thought of, and that is also kind of lines up with a lot of what the universities do with their research projects as well. All right, so our grant timeline for fiscal year 24. Coming up soon, which another reason I'm so glad you invited me tonight is because we have our first informational webinar coming up on October 18th, and it's at 10 a.m. in the morning. It's going to be held via Zoom, and we're going to get into the real nitty-gritty details of the application process and, things to consider when you're applying, things that are fundable and what's not fundable. And we always will have a question and answer session as well. That'll also be followed with some open house hours. You can call in via Zoom if anyone has questions. And then our application period will open in November. We don't have the exact date yet, but it will be before Thanksgiving. And then we will be closing it in December. So it is pretty short, but we received so many applications last year that I was blown away. So we anticipate a lot of folks applying again this year because we've already received a lot of interest. And then January and February, that's when we're going to go through the review. We're going to verify everything is fundable, and we also check the non-compliance status, and we also check everyone's enforcement status as well. And then March to early May, depending on how we turn things around between us and the awardees, that's when your grant funds will be awarded. So we have all that information on our website, and this is the link here. I can also provide y'all with these slides if that helps. So you do have the links to everything. And let's see. And I did want to just share a little bit about the other two grants. This one, for those of you who maybe aren't aware, but City of Snellville did apply for this one. We're still scoring, so no news yet. But this project focuses on waste reduction in a way that we're actually using the materials that we're trying to recover from the, from the solid waste stream. So Georgia has an extremely large tire recycling sector, and one of the largest on the eastern seaboard, to be exact. And we have a lot of this product. And through our other grant programs, in the STAR program, we're recycling a lot of tires through our abatements and through tire days for our local government. We recycle a lot of tires, so it really helps us to try to develop projects for that will actually utilize this material. So some folks have applied for parks, some have applied for roadway projects, some research. So, but this is another grant here. I won't get too much into it on this slide since you have actually applied for it. And then our other grant is we call it the STAR program. It's our local government scrap tire abatement reimbursement program. And this can cover reimbursement for a local government to have like a tire day where all of their citizens can bring in their tires. And they have to be recycled. They have to go to one of the processors in the state, and you submit documentation that verifies that, and we reimburse you. There's also a right-of-way project. So if you have a lot of tires on the roadside, you maybe have some folks who collect them, or you want to hire a contractor who collects them, something like that will also be covered. And then, say for example, you find a giant pile of tires at the library, because this happened in Lilburn, I think. But if the local government says, we have a huge tire pile, we need to clean it up, we'll reimburse you for that as well. Those are the 3 tracks. And all of that information is also on our email, in the email account as well. And I think, this is our grant team. Excuse me, I'm going to get back to myself. Sarah Knapp is the Recovered Materials Unit Manager, and she manages the Solid Waste Trust Fund Grant Program. Scarlett Fuller is on the Recycling and Waste Diversion Grant. And Kathy Rowicki is with the Tire Grant, and Hannah Tripp handles the STAR program. And you'll see here, this is the best email. If you have any questions about any of the programs, reach out to that. All 5 of us monitor this account. And either Scarlett, Kathy, or Hannah will get back to you. If any of them are out, one of the rest of us will cover the email. So, yeah, and that's it. So, thank you so much. Any questions?
Any questions? Lena, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to give us this overview. I appreciate it.
Okay, great. All right, well, I will stop sharing.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so
And
much.
if there are no questions, I will go with stuff.
I said thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. No other questions, I'll sign off. So,
Okay.
thank you all.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
night.
Bye.
All right.
Put all that back there.
You just bring our tires to Public Works and let them worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, Butch, update of ongoing projects.
Town center construction progress. I'm gonna leave the pavilion roof for the end of this.
Sorry.
Don't play with the equipment.
It was my brownie, Butch. It was my brownie. It jumped out there and it.
The market progress, Smithville is doing very well. There was some rock. We don't have a final, a number yet. Probably it's gonna be, a few $1,000s. We really were pretty lucky. But all the rock is behind us now. The Oak Road restaurants are about ready to submit for permits. M1, the buildings on Clower, M1, the one closest to Wisteria, should have a CO hopefully in the next week, I hope. Very, very close. M2 in October. The GWMA meeting is set for next Wednesday, the 4th of October. We'll start downstairs in the library, open conference area for a short presentation, short program where the mayor will give a little history. The library will have a chance to brag about their facility, and Thrive is going to talk about what they do upstairs. And we understand that there are still a couple folks on the council who have not RSVP'd. So I think I'm looking at one.
Yeah.
So, and Gretchen, I hope you can be there.
Didn't I RSVP?
I thought Randy said not, but just let us know.
Okay, okay.
The North Side Medical Office Building opens on Wednesday. So I think is that 2 or 3, Matt? The ribbon cutting for,
I've got it at
I
3.
think it's 3 o'clock.
Yeah, the tours
Okay.
start at 2, I believe.
So,
Yeah, I think
that ought to
tours
be
start
very good.
around 2, and then
The event at 3.
the event is at 3.
And as far as the pavilion is concerned, there's good news and then there's not so good news. The good news is, we have
Some lots of wood.
plenty of tongue and groove material. We're gonna put spruce on the roof up above for the tongue and groove. It's gonna look really nice. The problem is what goes on the top of the roof. We have been all over the map as far as trying to find shingle material. The wood shakes that we wanted, without a doubt, the best contractor, the only contractor that had decent looking wood shakes, they've let us down. Basically, we are at a point now of not knowing when. It will be months, could be next summer, before we get those wood shake shingles that we wanted with the color that we picked out. Michael has looked for alternatives. These are something that everybody recognizes. They're architectural shingles. They're 25-year warranty. The color, I think, is probably better than what we would have gotten on the wood. But this is where we are options-wise, unless we decide to wait on the contractor on the wood shakes. We don't have a number yet on the credit. It's going to be a big credit. I was hoping maybe if this went up, we could put the shingles right on top of those.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Really?
The contractor said we wouldn't have the warranty on the other shingles.
Tear off is one day.
So, well, that's what I'm thinking. Rather than have blue tarps up there for months, I thought this was our best alternative to go ahead and roof it with these shingles, and then we can tear it off and put the other ones on when we get all the details on those.
So is it the color or is it totally the material availability?
The material availability, manufacturing, and believe me, the difference between the cheaper ones that we saw and what we finally chose, it's night and day.
Oh, yeah.
The cheaper one, I mean, they didn't even look green. They were thin, they just looked terrible, didn't have a decent warranty. The Da Vinci shingle, is absolutely what we needed to have. And so, where we are right now, if you all are okay with that, we're gonna proceed with these shingles. We'll have a completed pavilion, and we'll just see when Da Vinci can have theirs ready. I'll email it, it'll be probably in the next couple days. Well, Michael's out today and tomorrow, Wednesday. Hopefully we have a number from Build Line, the contractor. But that's where we are right now, if y'all are okay with that.
I hate it, but
Not much
Doesn't sound like
choice.
we have another
Have to be.
option.
Yeah.
Sounds like what we have
Want
to
it to be
do.
functioning, so
I'm sorry to have to bring that to you, but
it could be worse.
who would have thought that the tree pavilion would have caused another problem?
all right, let's see, sidewalk improvements.
Pick some happy news.
Good news there. I don't know if y'all have been down Skyland or not. Construction's going well. The curb is poured from really almost all the way to Springdale. They've got all the grading done on the sidewalk, so they're off to a good start. They've had great weather. I mean, they've been very lucky. So just go by and take a look there. Haven't had any citizen complaints. The one or two calls that we've had, Matt's done a good job addressing. Let's see, I said sidewalk grading was progressing well. The county's working on Valley Creek. I'm sure that some of you may have seen the west entrance to Valley Creek is closed until October 5th. Greg is working with us as far as traffic is concerned. Some people were worried about getting out of the east side of Valley Creek. People come pretty fast up that hill there. So our first step is to put a decoy car out there, hopefully slow some people down.
That explains what.
So be
That
careful in
explains
that
why you
area,
didn't get a ticket because it was a decoy?
No,
but it's good progress.
just wondering why it was sitting there. It's unusual.
Stocking.
They
Let's
know how
see.
fast you're driving down there.
I went by the old Chick-fil-A, called their corporate people. It's looking much better. I don't know if you've talked to Johnny or not.
No.
Boarded up totally. They've cleaned up the back. Nobody's living back there. They still could use a little trimming, but it's much better than where we were. As I said earlier, we're getting somewhat better cooperation from the pavilion management. We can get them on the phone. Chuck's had some really positive, and we'll get that update for you and everybody, Solange.
Chuck has the flu or something similar, which is why he's not here tonight.
Public Works Department, David and his folks are still operating the recycling very smoothly. And we're checking on, we've had a couple of reports, I think Todd had one, and maybe Gretchen. Somebody in Nob Hill was talking about commingled loads, where they're putting recycling into the garbage. We think that was probably they saw something that wasn't what was happening, but it could have been close to that. So we're checking on that. At least that's Waste Management is saying that the blue bags and the debris is picked up in a rear loader, just like the recycling. So if they saw those two things, they might think it was being commingled.
And everybody received an email on that about 2 o'clock this afternoon.
That's one.
Yeah, sorry.
The Mayor and Council on Development Zoning Guidelines, the task force is meeting regularly. I think they meet tomorrow afternoon. The public survey is available.
No, it's October.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa!
I just hung my head too. I was like, oh, not tomorrow.
The task force is next week.
Yeah,
Oh,
October 3rd.
well, great. I could be here for that. The updates on schedule. That's good news. Grayson Parkway 78.
Just a reminder on that, if you can read through all of the character areas from the current plan, mark up, make any adjustments, any ideas or thoughts you have on that.
I have some handouts.
for that meeting.
I could scan. Don't you get excited? Handouts. It's just basically the sections of the common plan that I want to look at.
The Grayson Parkway 78 preliminary site plan, it's Maxi Price's property, expected soon. Several people are pushing him on that. Package sales implementation, lottery is delayed until October 23rd, as everybody knows. We did receive an anti-litem notice from the camp effort. Briscoe Park progress. We've been visiting with potential recreation center architects and engineers. Precision Planning let us know they would not submit a good local company. They just have too many projects going on right now. Maintenance building is approximately 80% in place. And the community center RFQ responses are due tomorrow afternoon. So we'll have some information for you on those. North and Wisteria, the right-of-way acquisition, the only way I can put it is it's looking better. Property owners have all been very cooperative, but the signatures have been slow to arrive. We're almost halfway there. I won't go into detail there, but we're trying to work with several folks. That will be ongoing. Traffic calming initiatives, the Nob Hill neighborhood meeting, it seems like a year ago now. It went very well, very positive feedback from almost all of the surveys. Larry Kaiser is working on the next steps estimate and the contract for us. So it's still progressing, looks very promising and positive. It'll be a good pilot project for traffic calming in the city, I think.
Yeah.
Is there any news on the old library and getting it deeded back to the city?
Once we get this lease in place for this building,
Gotcha.
we should be moving down the road there.
Okay. Thank you, Butch. We have item C, maintenance and upkeep of the town green, Mr. Warner.
I'm pretty sure everybody still has muddy shoes from a couple weeks ago when we had lots of rain and lots of events. Taste of Snellville, farmer's market in the morning, Taste of Snellville in the afternoon, and it looked like a pigsty. So moving forward, we're gonna have to, once again, find a solution for the green to get it a clean, level surface for folks to be able to have events on. Talked to a civil engineer for a while yesterday. He, the first thought I had was pervious surface, which is kind of a concrete structure that goes down on a base of ground stone to give you a flat level or a even surface, let's put it that way, because it'll never be level out there. And then on top of that goes soil and then a grass surface on top. So you would still have the same kind of grassy feel, but you wouldn't have the compaction problems that we currently have, which kill off the grass, which leads to mud, which leads. That's one solution. The civil engineers seem to think that there were long-term issues with that kind of system clogging. I know Mr. Scholes put together a ring of concrete, patterned concrete to give a path around for vehicles to travel on. And I know that Butch has reached out to Michael Kidd to get some feedback on whether a man-made surface or some of the other solutions. So we're looking into it. Hopefully we'll be able to figure something out and move ahead as soon as Christmas in November is done. Is that accurate?
I think it's kind of like Christie's committee on Christmas decor. We need to bring some options back and have a recommendation.
I'm so not on that.
No, yeah. So if council's okay, I'll work with Butch and staff on trying to figure something out and report back here. Is that good?
Yep.
Yes.
So it was a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess. I still have mud on those shoes.
But Music Midtown at Piedmont Park,
Was
I don't know
worse.
if you saw any of the
I saw the
photos from that. It
pictures.
was the same weekend, same exact thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, you have any grassy area and you have as much rain as we had before that event, and then you still have all the vehicular traffic on it.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure that there's anything you could put down that's not gonna get torn up or.
You've got to go back to the very beginning. I mean, you just didn't put the investment in it that you needed. I mean, it's put over an old parking lot. I mean,
Well,
it's just,
an old ground-up building, it's worse than a parking lot.
it's just not,
I've been to Piedmont Park, and I don't know that this is doable or not, but they put out large rubber mats when they have an event to keep people off, or keep the grass. Now, I don't know what the mats do to the grass, if it's okay for a day, 2 days, or whatever, but I've seen that.
are those square, like
No, it's
4-inch
just-
square openings? Because a lot of places have that.
No, I'm sure there's multiple ways to do
Yeah.
it. This just seemed like they rolled out a rubber pathway.
Is it more like just a path?
Yeah,
Because
like rubber
you know,
padding.
at
it
the
just-
farmer's market, we actually have three-way traffic going
Yeah.
through there, which, you know, we need more than a path.
Well, I think it's gonna be a multiple
Yeah.
option to fix it.
Yeah.
Well, putting down, you could put down plywood, you could put down a bunch of things in order to get vehicles on and off so they wouldn't sink and compress stuff. But the problem is the labor and having to do
Right,
that
yeah.
every single Saturday plus another
Yeah.
14 to 16
Yeah.
episodes per year. So we have to find something that isn't that labor intensive. So
Alrighty, we'll have item D, review a procedure for monitoring new construction projects and policy for correction of ordinance violations, Mr. Manuel.
I had a number of, excuse me, emails and calls and a personal meeting last week with a woman who lives in Gladstone Landing. And it seems like this is another case of a developer coming in, ignoring what needs to be done to accommodate people living next door. I've seen the one from the Three Stooges out at Summit Chase where dry season and dirt was just blown across these people's, the front house, day after day after day. I brought it up to O'Brien, he said, oh, there's been a water truck on site the whole time. Doesn't do any good if you don't use it. And I don't know if the council has an appetite for doing anything, but I think we need to put something in place so that these people who are living adjacent to a development aren't put through this blasting with no notice. You know, you're sitting there and all of a sudden your house starts to shake. I don't know that we can enforce blasting levels, because what they do is they say, oh, it's just going to be a little blast, and then they load up the dynamite because there's fewer blasts if they can go stronger. I don't know if we can monitor that. I think we can, but I think something needs to be done to protect the people who live adjacent to these areas, because the developers don't care. So I can do some more research, get with Jason and see. I don't know how much of it's an enforcement of what we got and how much new material we need, but if everybody's agreeable with that, I'll proceed.
So what you're saying is you want, what exactly is the ask? Is the ask to have more people on the ground daily to inspect the project, or is the ask to review notification guidelines for developers in the neighborhood? Because out in Gladstone, they're actually operating well within the law. It's just kind of they're right there. So blasting is one thing, and I understand that's very sensitive because of what's going on, but is it a bigger issue with development inspections? Do you want like somebody?
I think both. I think people need to communicate. They finally did on the last blast. They communicated with the people in Gladstone Landing and said, we're going to be blasting. According to Butch, that's not something you can say, 2 weeks from now we're going to blast. There's a whole bunch of permitting, but there should be a procedure in place so that sometime before the blast, people are notified.
Well, that's part of the state regulation. I mean, that's what they're doing when they set the seismic events up.
But they're not doing it.
Well, I'm not going to argue about what
Yeah,
happened over there.
I had
I'm talking
reports
broader.
from Summit Chase that the blasting started before some of the people were notified. Now, we know from our own experience with the recycling program and various other things that sending things in the mail, posting on Facebook, it's hard to get through to folks.
Email too doesn't work.
Right,
'Cause they had,
so I don't know how much of that is communication issue and how much of that is an actual issue on the end of the contractors, but I
On
do
the
know.
last time after the complaint, the contractor went to the HOA president and said, we're going to be blasting between,
yeah, they had been doing that
11 and
honestly
12.
before, and the message wasn't getting through.
Well-
So that wasn't on the contractors. I mean, they pretty much, they've done everything we've asked.
Well, now every resident has a phone number to call every morning if
Right.
they want to.
Well, and that's fabulous on that one project. But with the issues we had at Saddlebrook, when it was under construction, the neighborhood down by me at Pinehurst and Ridgedale, we continually had events where there were stormwater issues, there was overflow, and so we need to look long-term, and we don't have that much more development land out there.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of redevelopment, so that's not, none of that's gonna stop.
But as far as inspection, we probably need to look at upping boots on the ground, because
That's what I need.
that was the issue there, and you don't catch it unless you have people go out and see it. Butch and I dealt with a sidewalk issue with our friends out at Patrick Malloy this afternoon.
Yeah, we're just not equipped like that
Right.
now. Because we do have development inspectors, but they also do the building inspectors. So they're there on their weeklies or dailies based on rain, and they're there to do building permit inspections, and they're there those days. But there's not somebody here or on
Right.
contract outside of what Josh and I do from a much higher view as far as when there are problems, mitigating them. If you want, you know, whatever it's there's just a cost. You either go with a contractor like we do now, or you pay a spot. So those are your options if you want more. And I will say, outside of these two in Saddlebrook to a certain degree, there really hasn't been any negative outcomes from the system that's in place now. Those were different complications.
and depends on the contractor. A lot of contractors are
And the
conscientious.
job and the place, I mean, they're all have their own issues to work through, but I mean, like you said, there's ways to, you just have to decide how you
Yeah.
want to pay for it.
On the blasting situation, Todd, you mentioned something that you had talked to somebody that you thought that we could put some local guidelines in place. And when I talked to the insurance commissioner's office, it was all state. I'm trying to get the data that they have to turn in there, and I'd just like to know a little research to see if what we can do, you know, in a permitting process. Can we give them a policy that is, you know, more restrictive than the state policy?
It may be preempted by the state, which means.
I'd just like to,
Yeah.
I'd just
I'll look
like to
into
Find
that
that out
for
for
sure.
sure.
And
We're running short on time, so
I'm sorry.
if we can, I mean, if y'all can continue the conversation with
Yeah, that guy over
Jason,
there.
yeah. And then report back to us on,
We'll have a committee,
okay.
since you like committees so much.
No executive session tonight, so is there a motion to adjourn the work
Motion
session?
to adjourn the work session.
There's a motion, is there a second? All in favor? All right, we'll see y'all in there. It is 7:30, so if you can make it as quick as possible.